Hey guys, my name is Wildkard and welcome back to my channel. Thank you for subscribing and following my content. I really do appreciate it. Finally, we have confirmation. Dave Rennie watches my videos. He finally watched my videos and took my advice on selections. This has to be one of the greatest days of my life. He listened. He listened to me. He listened. Quade Cooper is selected at the number 10 position for the Wallabies, okay? Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay? Wildcard. Quade is also a Kiwi. Yes, I know. Quade also can't tackle. Yes, I know. Quade also can't kick goals. Yes, I know. And Quade also is pretty bad kicking around the field. Yes, I know. Okay, I know all of that. But I thought if we're gonna lose, at least I'm gonna get some nostalgia out of this. Okay? Ideally, I do admit, we probably should have ran another new, caught up like Harrison, or just put Reece Hodge in there. But I'm happy to just see a change, to see, the appropriate decision being made, to see that Dave Rennie watching my videos and making selections based on my recommendations. I do appreciate it. And then now we're gonna play a game today. It's called the Wildcard Punt. Okay, so every game from now on, we're gonna come up with a random thing. We're gonna take a punt on. That's gonna happen in the game. So let me know your predictions in the comments. So this week, the Wildcard Punt is how many conversions, how many goal kicks Quade Cooper's gonna miss. Okay, put that in the comments below. Is it gonna be 1? Is it gonna be 0? Is it gonna be 10? Let me know in the comments. Okay. So that's the Wildcard Punt of this week. But yeah, I'm actually pretty glad for Quade to come back. So Quade, to be fair, has a lot of the same issues, but the one thing that Quade does do better than a lot of CEO is his ball handling and playmaking around the field. He came from a different era of rugby under Checker, where kicking game supposedly sucks, no kicking. But so in the current state of the game, I do think Reece Hodge is a better fit for the number 10 position, especially against the Springboks, where it's all about kicking for field territory, which Reece Hodge has a huge boot. Kick long range field goals, which Reece Hodge can match that as well with the long 50-meter plus long range conversions. Penalty kicks. And then also nowadays it's all about defense. This is just the way international rugby is. All about defense, and Reece Hodge is also much better in defending as well. He fronts up in defense. So I do think Reece Hodge would have been, in my mind, I thought Reece Hodge would have been the perfect option for the Springboks match. But, okay, Dave Rennie, I did tell you to put him there, and okay, I'll take the blame if things go wrong. And anyway, so anyway, interesting stuff to see. So the game today, and anyways, interesting stuff to see. So news coming into this game, obviously. So this was leaked yesterday. So last night I was going to bed thinking, is this actually gonna happen? No, it was leaked before the teams. It was even announced that Quade was gonna be at 10. So I was kind of excited going to bed, wondering, okay. And then today it was confirmed in the full official announcement that Quade has been selected. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he fares. To be fair, right, I don't want to completely count out Quade. The last time I saw him was 3-4 years ago, and he was pretty poor in terms of the tackling and everything. So he might have improved in the last 4 years. I mean, 4 years is a long time. He's in great shape, so we don't know how he's going to actually fare on the field, but this will be a good chance to us to see how things going to happen. And I'm all up for some nostalgia, baby! And bad news from the Springbok end and good news for me. Cheslin Kolbe, he is got a bit of injury in training, so he's not going to be playing this game. And this is actually a bit of a let off pressure for Quade as well, because if Quade does a poor kick on field kick, Cheslin Kolbe gets the ball, could easily counter attack and score a try. He's the most dangerous man on the field in rugby, and ever, not just today, ever. He's so insane. He can run through 5 defenders, and that's against the All Blacks, right? And with the Wallabies defense, he'll just be scoring tries every time you do a back kick to him, and he'll just be like, yep, thanks very much. That's another free try for me. So it's really, really interesting, kind of relief for the Wallabies that their kicking game doesn't not have to be as clinical as they they should be, and they can just get away with some, like, I guess, average level kicks against the Springboks without Cheslin Kolbe. And then there was a lot of, like, criticism for the Springboks being like, too much kicking, so boring gameplay, especially from the Northerners. I'm talking about, like, English from England, like Clyde Woodward and all those people. So the Springboks the head coach came out like, from Fozzie. Sir Fozzie was criticizing Springboks after the Argentinian game for, like, bit too much kicking, being boring. So just wanted to, like, give an idea, like, is it actually that boring? So, or, like, is it actually more than normal? So the Springboks does do a lot of more kicking than average. So 46 kicks against Argentina in the first game, and then another 43 in the second game against Argentina. So just to give you an idea, like, how many kicking that actually is. So on average, like, this is looking at England, a team that's been criticized a lot under Eddie Jones for doing too much kicking. On average, England does, like, in the international, about 30 kicks or so. What else have we got for England? So England versus Wales, this was Six Nations this year, 36-24. So England lost this one because they didn't kick as much. So kicking has been, so yeah, let's go another one. So this one is a famous game in Six Nations this year. So Scotland beat England for the first time in 36 years or 38 years at Twickenham. Provided there was no crowd, so it didn't really help out England. That was the case, but Scotland, 43 kicks, completely outkicked England in this match and just dominated England pretty much every step and really pinged England down for the whole game. So in terms of, and like, this kind of kicking numbers is like the only one in the Six Nations that went up to the 40s. Most of the kicks are around 30s and high 20s and 30s. And so, yeah. And also, statistically speaking, so the amount of Springboks kicks is high end, and statistically speaking, the team that kicks the most has a higher chance of winning. Like it or not, that is just the stats from rugby. The Crusaders, in fact, despite what everybody thinks, they like to run the ball, they actually are the most kicking game in Super Rugby, and they are the most successful club rugby team in the world. So statistically speaking, the more kicks, it does lead to more success. Regardless what you say, it's just, if you say that you shouldn't be kicking, you just don't know how to play rugby. Like, I don't care who you are, you just don't know how international rugby is played. That's all I can say. And statistically, that is what you do to win the games. But anyway, so the Wallabies, they really need to pick up the kicking, especially with goal kicking. And we shall see how that goes this weekend. So the game, so there's a few key areas that the Springboks will, like, is looking to, like, exploit over the Wallabies this weekend. So the first up, the Springboks has a real, like, basically the Springboks play the starting forward pack, mostly of the starting forward pack in the first game against the against Argentina, and the second against Argentina, they play the starting backline. But this game, they basically combine the both, and this is, like, the World Cup winning, like, Springbok, massive team. It's gonna be really, really difficult for the Wallabies to win. Especially the Springboks defense is the number one in the world. They literally miss, like, less than 10% missed tackles, and you just don't get any territory at all. So despite the fact that having Quade on the field, being able to make those running plays, I don't see the Wallabies being able to actually break through the gang line against the Springboks and scoring tries, to be fair. Maybe in a set piece like a maul or something, but just by, breaking through a tackle, like against the All Blacks, I don't think that's going to happen against the Springboks, to be honest. So yeah, we shall see. The front, the four pack, big change for the Springboks. Duan Vermeulen is back. The South Africans calls him the Thought Mullen. He's, like, absolutely the best number 8, probably in the world. He was injured just coming in just before the Lions tour on the eve of the Springboks announcement. So he's finally back in shape. This will be the first game he's playing in 2021. But Thor Mullen, he's actually 35 years of age. I did some research. You never hear people talk about how old he is, but it's the same age as Alan Wynne-Jones, in case you didn't know. Alan Wynne-Jones is not 300 years old. So no one talks about him being old, but everyone says, Alan Wynne-Jones is too old, time to retire. So yeah, still just absolute bollocks. Alan Wynne-Jones is not too old. He's going to play for another 10 years, mate. But I guess he's got better genes, so he looks like quite young with no grey hair and everything. So maybe that's the reason. But yeah, Vermeulen, 35 years of age, the best number 8 in the world. Who would have thought of that? The front row is a big challenge for the Wallabies. Steven Kittoff, widely considered the best loose head prop. Frans Mahorbe, he's the one that destroyed the England scrum in the Rugby World Cup. His performance has been a little bit off since the Rugby World Cup, where he absolutely just demolished the English scrum. But he's still like very, very good. He's not as good as he used to be. He struggled a bit against against the what was his name? Wyn Jones in the not Six Nations. Is it Wyn Jones? Anyway, in the Lions series, he did struggle a little bit in the second half because he came on in the second half. So he might even I think he might have struggled against Vinapolo actually when he came off the bench in the second half. Bunambi is absolutely like spectacular for the Springboks. Like his set piece is like perfect. His line-out throws pretty much is like perfect. His scrummaging is perfect. His setup, the maul is perfect. Set piece is perfect. Bunambi, you can't really ask for a better second row. So Flyhalf Ianga came out last week with a try. So he's really came out and showed that he deserved the spot in the Wallabies. Really, really good to see. Angus Bell moved up from the bench for the Wallabies to probably match up with Malherbe. Angus Bell actually is the best loose head prop in Australia. To be fair, I do think he's better than Skipper in some sense. And yeah, good to see that him coming back in terms of scrummaging, that is. So coming back against Malherbe. And Alatoa scores the tight head position up against Kitsop. This is going to be... Kitsop is very good, so I think this will be a bit of a trouble for Alatoa. Wouldn't be surprised to see a penalty or two there. Isaac Rodder gets moved into the starting number 4 position up against Ibn Isabeth. These two guys have probably met a few times in the past, but Isabeth is back after getting a week break, and Isabeth and Bonabi, these two guys basically solidified the line out for the Springboks. And Luke Diega, in the Lions 2 series, he was coming off the bench, but he keeps his spot at number 5 position. So the line out is going to be super difficult for the Wallabies. Just Isabeth and Diego alone, the two combinations here, it's just insane. This is like number 1 and 2 locks in the world. I don't care what you say about the All Blacks locks. This is number 1 or 2 locks in the world, and they're just they're just here to absolutely punish you in the lineouts. The lineouts not gonna be looking good for the Wallabies. Loose forward, Sio Khaleesi, man with the captain. No days off. He plays every game. Unlike Itzebeth, who gets a break last week, but he plays every. He's a captain. He will come off in the second half. So we shall have a look at the bench. There's 3 loose forwards on the bench. As the South Africans once again opt off the bomb squad with 6 forwards on the bench. 6 forwards on the bench, and only 2 backs in the reserve. So all 3 loose forwards might get a break in the second half. Franco Mostert is actually the 3rd second rower for the Springboks. So he plays at number 7. So he's in South Africa. 7 is actually the blindside flanker. So Sio Khaleesi is the open side flanker. So he's at Franco Mostert is the blindside flanker. So Springboks do like to do that as well. Play a second rower in the blindside flanker. And Duan Thormeulen is at number 8. So the Wallabies have a lot of work in their loose forwards as well. Lockie Swinton is really like fronted up with a lot of physicality in the game, so he's been really, really good coming back, being added in the Wallaby squad, brought a lot of intensity, something that we want to see. Michael Hooper has been an absolute workhorse for both tests all 3 tests against the All Blacks. Michael Hooper has made the most tackles. So no matter what you say, Hooper is still like by far the highest work rate in the Wallabies team and probably in the world. I checked the stats for the All Blacks. No All Blacks has done as many tackles as Michael Hooper or made as many So he's probably the highest loose forward work rate in the world. To be fair, we shall see how he goes. But then again, Sio Khaleesi is also a really high workhorse, and Ibn Isbeth. Both of these guys makes like 15-20 tackles a game. So we shall see who actually gets the highest work rate. But these 3 guys are basically just absolute workhorses in the game. And then Rob Valentini comes back in for the Wallabies at number 8. The big man. So the backline. So this is like, again, a lot of interesting stuff that's going to happen this game. So first up, the Springboks has a different play style in the backline plays than the All Blacks. So the All Blacks really likes to flood the 9, 10, and 12 channel with their wingers. So they like to play the wingers, the 10, try to manipulate the space with the more agile plays around the 9, 10, and 12 channel, which was the reason why a lot of Seal was struggling maybe a little bit in defense, because they do like to play that really like make a lot of plays around that area, and that's just the way the All Blacks play. The Springboks, however, don't really do that. They like to flood the 9, 10, and 12 channel with forwards. So a lot of these guys, so Simon Quade and Quade are going to be making, and even Tate McDermott are going to really work hard with their forward pack, like with Lockie Swinton, to defend that forward flooding of the Springbok forwards in the breakdown area. And then what the Springboks does with the boys, they like to crash the ball with 12 and 13. So they like, instead of playing the ball around 9, 10, 11, like the All Blacks do, they play the ball and try to exploit the space around 12, 13, and like further out wide in the wind with the number 11. So they basically play a much wider game in terms of line attack. And another thing that the Springboks does, like I mentioned, is a kicking game. So they really like to exploit the space behind you, especially with Faf de Klerk back in the team. He's kicking. He can kick the ball. He will kick the ball anywhere. Okay, I kid you not. He will kick the ball just outside your 22, and then he will kick it behind you outside your 22, just for a line out. So you have to just for a 5-meter defensive line out, and it makes sense as how like stacked there's like 3 jumpers in the line out, 2 of the best jumpers in the world line out. They would literally force the 5-meter line out just to try to steal it with one of their jumpers. So if after Click, he'll literally kick inside your 22 for a line out. I kid you not. So like, yeah, that's just the game plan for the Springboks. So they like to run out wide, and they like to kick behind. So that's the way the Springbok attack pattern, which is very different from the All Blacks, from the All Blacks that the Wallabies face. So that's a lot of work for Andrew Callaway and Tom Banks. There's going to be a lot of high balls going at him, and there's a lot of keep behind balls. So these two guys probably have to hang back a lot in the defense. And so Villiers Leroux and Kossi will be putting a lot of high ball pressure on these two, chasing down the balls with high ball pressure. So yeah, we shall see. Cheslin Kolbe usually is the one that does all the chasing. So Kossi was going to do that, take over that role for the Springboks this game, and we shall see how he goes. Tom Bang has been pretty good under the high ball, but I have seen him drop the ball now every now and then, but same as Villiers Leroux. They're about the same levels in terms of handling under the high ball, but we shall see who comes out here. And that is a very, very critical aspect of the game for the weekend. And yeah, so that's what's going to happen. And the Springboks going to kick behind you, force those like defensive lineouts inside your 22 around your 5-meter line, and try to win the lineout with their forward pack and set up a set play with their... Yeah, set up a set-piece play and then spread the ball out wide to their centers. That's how they're going to play. So the center combination. So yeah, 100 Pollard comes in at 10. He's also like against Quade Cooper. He's literally the opposite of Quade Cooper. He doesn't really make like fancy plays in terms of handling, but he is really solid at just making the right plays. Just simple, easy right plays at all times. Just basic stuff that he does really well. And he's really, really good at kicking the ball around the field. Really, really good at kicking goals. Any penalties he give away around the 50-meter mark, he's going to be able to slot it in. His kicking has improved a lot since the Lions tour as well. He was a little bit off in the Lions tour, but against the Argentinians, he was at 100%. So Quade, his kicking is not good. His tackling is not good. So this is doesn't look good for the Wallabies, to be honest, in terms of the 10 matchup. I really thought Reece Hodge should probably take the 10 position. Tate McDermott and Faf de Klerk, once again, completely opposite of player. Faf de Klerk will exploit your space with kicking. He's less likely to run than Tate McDermott. And Tate McDermott is famously really, really good at running the ball around the rocks. But I don't think that's going to work against the Springboks. Unlike the All Blacks, with gaping holes around the breakdown, the Springboks, they love to flood the forwards at the breakdown, and they love to flood the 9-10 channel with their forwards. So it's not likely that I'll be very, very surprised if Tate McDermott makes a break at the breakdown like he did against the All Blacks, or anyone makes a break at the breakdown against the All Blacks. Our wing, Makalolas Mapimbi and Marika Kompedi, very similar play style. This will be actually an interesting matchup to see who gets the better of each other. Kompedi has been stepping up with his defense, which is really, really good. He still misses tackles every now and then, but we will just see the physicality of these two players coming head-to-head. In the center position, Demi Delende, widely considered probably the best inside center at the moment in the world, but this will be a good matchup against Samu Kurevi. Lukamio on in the outside center position. Again, these two guys are probably the best center combination in the world. Both extremely good. Delende is the one that tends to like crash the ball a lot more, and Lukamio tends to play more like a winger. Len Ikitau will have to step up a bit against Lukamio. I do see Karevi as a good matchup against Delende. I'm not sure Ikitau. Yeah, Ikitau will have to step up a little bit against Lukamio. As I mentioned, these two guys, there's been a lot of kicking between these guys, a lot of high balls, and yeah, we shall see how that goes. The Springboks has once again opted for the bomb squad with 6 forwards on the bench. Malcolm Marx, Ox Inch is back at the loose head position. Vincent Koch back at the tight head position. Tongan Thor is for the Wallabies, and Jem Slipper has dropped to the bench to deal with Vincent Koch. Feleti Kaituu, the Western Force hooker, gets a chance to debut for the Wallabies off the bench after Lockie Lonergan had a bit of a poor go at the hooker position last week against the All Blacks. His line-out throws weren't very good. Rob Leote also gets a potential to start for the Wallabies. And then the Springboks has 3 loose forwards on the bench. Marco van Staden, Huaga Smith, a former Sevens player who is extremely elusive. And his work rate, again, this guy's work rate around the park is insane. Like, you know, almost like 15, 20 tackles in like 30 minutes of gameplay. Like, it's insane. Like, the amount of like involvement this guy gets on the field. He makes more tackles in half a game than most players do in the whole game. And then Jasper Visa is dropped down to the bench after being pretty good start at number 8 position. And he's one of the few players who likes to chase those high balls. So I wouldn't be surprised if he will be the one that putting a lot of pressure for those high ball kicks from the Springboks as well coming off the bench. Very, very difficult position to deal with for the Wallabies. And it's very like clear forward strategies. Yeah, I'm surprised that the Wallabies did not make more changes to deal with this sort of things. And Pete Samuel comes back for the Wallabies after a really, really good play last week where he came on and scored a try, picking a run from, he didn't score the try, but he set up a try for Nick White. Both players came on the bench, made immediate impact on scoring a try against the All Blacks. So Pete Samuel pick and go around the rucks. Don't see that going to happen against the Springboks. And then Nick White as well, running around the rucks is just not going to be a thing against the Springboks. It's literally like the thing that they pride themselves on, being able to like flood the breakdown with their forwards. I don't think either of these players will be able to do that against the Springboks. Herschel Yanshi's come up as a substitution halfback, and Damien Valemsi will come up as a substitution fullback. Once again, they're substituting him for Willie LaRue just to contest the high balls. And Damien Valemsi has the permanent finisher for high balls. He literally come on the field and win high balls off kickoffs. Like, he is just like very, very impactful coming off the bench at the number 15 position. Jordan Patea is coming out for the Wallabies, number 23, and Reece Hodge will probably come on at number 10 position in the second half. But yeah, man, this does not look good for the Wallabies. Oh, it's so outmatched in every aspect of the game. Oh, man. But luckily, I don't think the Springboks is like a team that has a strategy that will score a lot of tries on you. But they will just beat you with like 30 points of penalty kicks and like 1 try. And then just like beat you to the ground and pound your face in. Yeah, I think the Springboks will. I don't know. I don't think I'll be very surprised if the Wallabies scores a single try against the Springboks. But yeah, am I gonna make a prediction? No, I'm not gonna make this prediction. This is not gonna look good. Anyway, let me know what you think of the game, and let me know your wildcard predictions. The wildcard punt prediction, which is how many goal kicks is Quade Cooper going to miss. That includes both conversions and penalty kicks. So yeah, let me know your number. Thank you for watching my video, guys. I do appreciate it. And I'll see you guys a little bit later for the All Blacks versus Argentina review. Cheers.